I've been working at Yale full-time since 1986, and even with all that experience, there are things I do differently in my own kitchen. And over the years, I've remodeled 3 different apartments. Back in 2017, I completely renovated a burnt-out brownstone here in Boston South End. Today, I'm going to walk you through what worked, what didn't, and the appliance decisions I'd change if I were doing it again. And if you live in Boston or you're working on an older home or brownstone, pay attention. These are the kind of details you only learn after you live with your kitchen. Let me start with something I tell people to think about first, the sink. And this is where I didn't follow my own advice. I put a basic standardized sink in my island. The placement's right. I don't have to deal with venting, and from a layout standpoint, it makes sense. But I undersized it. Living with it every day, I realized how limiting a smaller sink could be. Big pots are harder to deal with. Sheet pans don't sit comfortably. That's just less flexibility than I expected. I don't need to go all the way to a galley sink with every accessory. That's not what this is about. I should have gone a little bigger than average. A slightly larger sink would have given me more room to work and make cleanup easier. If I were starting over, that's one easy change I'd make. Same location, just a bigger sink. This one surprised me. I put in a 36-inch 6-burner Wolf cooktop. Like the brand, Cooktop works exactly as it should. But here's the honest question. And how often do I use all 6 burners? Or even 5, or even 4? Basically never. What I really needed wasn't more burners, it was more utility. If I were doing it again, I would have made a different choice. I would have gone with the same cooktop, but added a griddle in the middle. That alone would have been more practical. Grilled cheese, breakfast, quick meals, things you could actually cook on every day. Yes, the vent hood would have needed to be a little deeper and a little stronger. That's solvable. But if I'm being completely honest, I probably should have gone induction. What I actually care about is speed. Speed for mac and cheese, speed for soup, speed for boiling water and getting dinner on the table. Induction's just faster. In a 36-inch space, most any other cooktop setup would work better for how I really cook. So if you're looking at a 6-burner cooktop, stop and ask yourself one question. Do you really use 6 burners? The answer is no. It may be a better choice. This one will surprise you, especially coming from me. I have a mill hood, and to be clear, it's not a bad hood. I actually like it. The lighting's great. The design is sleek. It looks really good in the kitchen. But if I'm being technical, I should have gone more utilitarian. Put 600 CFM. For all I cook, it's fine. But it could have been deeper. And if I cook more aggressively, it should be a bit stronger. If I were doing this again, I probably would have chosen a more professional style hood. Little deeper capture area, baffle filters, something designed for us to grab smoke and grease, not just look good doing it. I know that sounds ironic because I talk about ventilation all the time. And this setup isn't a failure, it works. But if you cook a lot, you're searing, sauteing, or using high heat regularly, you want more hood than you think. Capture area matters. So if you're choosing between a beautiful hood and one that's more purpose-built, lean towards performance first, especially if you cook. Here's one I really question. Why do I even have a microwave? Let me be clear, I never use it. I reheat everything in a steam oven. The food actually tastes good coming out of it. And I'm fine waiting an extra 8 or 9 minutes if it means leftovers don't come out rubbery. So with that in mind, why do I put a microwave in at all? It's a Wolf microwave drawer. If you're buying a drawer style, you're usually spending between $1,200 to $2,000 or more on an appliance you might never use. That's the bigger lesson here. Before you spec everything into a kitchen, stop and ask yourself if you actually use it, or if you just think you're supposed to have it. Because it's very easy to spend $12,000 to $2,000 on something that looks right on a plan but never gets used once you live there. Now, you can always justify it with resale, I get that. But for your own kitchen, I wouldn't buy appliances you know you won't use. This one I can live with, but it's still worth talking about. I have a Sub-Zero integrated refrigerator. It's fully panelized, so it disappears into the cabinetry. You can't tell where the cabinet stops and the refrigerator starts, and visually it looks great. Trade-off is accessibility. With integrated refrigerators, the compressor's on the bottom. That means everything inside sits higher. You're reaching up more, especially to top shelves. If I had gone with a standard counter-depth refrigerator, the compressor would have been on the top. Everything inside would sit lower and be easier to reach. The downside is it would stick out a bit more. You see the appliance instead of hiding it. For me, the cleaner look was worth the reach. I knew that going in. But this is something you really need to experience in person. Stand in front of bolt, open the doors, reach for the top shelf. Then decide what matters more to you, the look or everyday ergonomics. There's no wrong answer here. You just don't want to discover that trade-off after it's already installed. Now, if you watch some of my other videos, you know I didn't get everything wrong. And the first thing I've got right here is the layout. Yes, I shouldn't have bought a microwave, but notice where it is. It's out of the way. It's not in the center of the kitchen. I'm not walking around it to get to the appliances I actually use. What matters most is that everything I use all the time is close together. Sink's in the island, cooktop is right there, dishwasher's right there. I'm never more than a step away from any of them. That's the kitchen triangle, and I still believe in it. From a layout standpoint, this kitchen works really well. I'm not fighting it. I'm not walking laps. Everything flows the way it should. So even with some appliance decisions I changed, the layout itself is something I'd absolutely do again. The other thing I got right is the ovens. Instead of defaulting to a double oven, I went a different route. I didn't want two identical ovens where I know I'd barely use the second one. So I put in a steam oven, and that decision changed the way I cook. Food just tastes better out of the steam oven. You're adding moisture, not pulling it out. That matters whether you're reheating leftovers, baking, or cooking proteins. It's the opposite of a microwave. Everything comes out dry or rubbery. I use the steam oven constantly, far more than I ever use the second traditional oven. For a lot of people, a steam oven can replace that second oven and actually improve how you cook day to day. So before you automatically spec a double oven, it's worth stopping and asking if a steam oven or even a speed oven makes more sense for how you really cook. One of the things I got right was adding refrigerator drawers at the end of the kitchen. They're right next to the microwave. It's still out of the main work area. I don't have to get up every time my daughter wants a poppy soda. She can grab it herself. They're great for canned drinks, which are always awkward to store in a regular refrigerator. And for a 9-year-old, they're easy to reach and easy to use. Small detail, but it makes the kitchen work better day to day. Less traffic at the main fridge, less interruption, a lot more convenience. Here's one thing for renovating a Boston brownstone. This isn't about appliances, it's about where you put the kitchen. I put the kitchen in the basement, and there are real advantages to that. It's convenient from where you park. Bringing groceries in is easy. We cut in windows from above, so it gets great light and doesn't feel like a basement. That said, if I was thinking about it today, I might make a different choice. Because once the kitchen went downstairs, that's where everything happened. Second floor didn't get used as much. In hindsight, should have made the first floor a better play space for my daughter and moved the kitchen up. There's no perfect answer here. It's a trade-off. Where you put a kitchen in a brownstone or in your house changes how you live in the house with traffic, noise, and light, how each floor gets used. There are advantages and disadvantages to both layouts. Just make sure you pick the one that best supports your lifestyle. And if you're looking for renovation mistakes to not make, grab a snack and watch this webinar.